whoever got to be here. I guess we have 4 people gone. In front of you, I'll see a roster of members and a seating chart and a copy of the committee rules and notices of conferees. A couple reminders. Till the day, meetings will usually start on time. If you're not able to attend, be sure to let Betty know. And we already had Representative Poskin already do that, but she attended early anyway. Phones or other distractions kept at a medium. Let me just tell you, you have a grace period of a week. If the phone goes off, you owe everybody a candy bar. And the revisers. Don't leave them out either. Or some kind of candy treat. Everybody's expected to be respectful of each other, particularly when we're speaking. It's very important to remind all of you that the live microphones are on and everything you say will be and can be used against you. There are no changes in the committee rules, so there's no need to vote on them. Now, if anybody's phone number has changed since, if you'll please give the Betty. And all these cell phone numbers will only be used if there's an urgent need. And if we need to sell them for those business things that bother you all the time, we won't do that. Again, welcome. I'm glad you're all here. And those are the rules. And Carly's going to give us some information about what we should do and pay attention to RS numbers.
Good morning, committee. You've probably heard this in other House committees, but just for everybody's edification, practically, requests for introductions will operate as they have in House committees the past few sessions. Per House rules, an individual requesting a bill through a committee must give their name, the individual or entity they are requesting on the bill on behalf of, if applicable, and the RS number. That information will be displayed on the bill's webpage on the legislature's website and should also be recorded in the minutes. What is different this session is that the requester information will now be printed on those committee-sponsored bills below the sponsor line. So when making a bill request through a committee, please be sure that the request is clear and that a requester provides the entity or individual that they are requesting the bill if they want that to be reflected on the website and the printed bill. I may be following up with a requester if any information was missed or if I need further clarification. Thanks.
Thank you. Before we get to bill introductions, I do have a bill here that's going to be done by Representative Carpenter. And it is a National Guard educational master's degree if you sign up for 6 years. And he would like you, if you're interested, to go sign as a co-sponsor. So it's in your packet. Read it, and if you like it, go look him up and sign it. Any questions that Carly need to go to Carly? Okay, bill introductions. Representative Garber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I am Representative Garber, District 62, presenting this bill on behalf of a constituent named Alan Thagard. It's a bill that would requesting a license plate for Armed Services Occupation Medal. This is any person who is a recipient of an Army of Occupation or Navy Occupation Service Medal. They would be able to purchase that special license plate. The RS number is 24 RS 2523.
Question. This was done before?
Yes, Chairman. In 2017, this similar bill passed the House 124-0 after an amendment was made to change from a license plate to a sticker. Instead of a license plate, you'd have a regular Armed Forces license plate, and you could put a sticker on Army of Occupation or Navy Occupation.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other bill introductions? Are there any other bill introductions? Thank you. That's what I have underlined. Without objection, is the bill introduced? Any objections to the bill? Okay, thank you. Only one other time in my history of 8 years did someone object to a bill. I did in my first year. Everyone looked at me. Okay, our first speaker will be Eric Stafford, Vice President of Government Affairs of Kansas Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the invitation. Good timing. I was running a little late, get stuck in the hallway in conversations, and it's like, I got to get into the committee room. So I was going to sit down and get my thoughts in order, but I'll do it live from the podium. So as the chairman said, my name is Eric Stafford. I'm Vice President of Government Affairs with the Kansas Chamber. But what I'm here for today is serving at the pleasure of our president and CEO, Alan Cobb. He said, you should be the executive director of our Military and Veterans Affairs Council that I want us to create. So go create it and run. I said, okay. So last year we gave an update that we were going to create that. And so I was talking to the chairman. I think he saw our invitation for Friday. If you're not busy Friday and want to join us for lunch, we have our first luncheon for this council. U.S. Senator Jerry Moran will be our guest speaker. He's a strong advocate for the military community, veterans, and the investments that we have within the state of Kansas. And so what does the Kansas Chamber care about the military and veterans in our state? Why did we think that this was essential for us to put together within the umbrella of the Kansas Chamber? And you'll see on the statement that the council, actually, I'm going to start at the bottom. I want to start with who our advisory council members are. We have 3 co-chairs. We felt it was important to have co-chairs for the local chambers for the communities that have the military bases within the state, Leavenworth, Wichita, and Manhattan Area Regional Chamber of Commerce. So they currently serve as the executive directors of those. The local chambers serve as the co-chairs of this group. And then we also have a mix of legislative, private sector representation on our council as well. And it's ever expanding. We continue to receive comments and questions from people. Hey, I'd want to get involved in this. How do I best serve? And quite honestly, we're still working through that. We've had, I think, 3 meetings so far this year, and trying to lay out the mission and statement, trying to have guest speakers just give us feedback what we can be doing from the chamber's perspective and how we can help. Our big driver really is that when Alan first heard, and this is kind of what spawned it, is when Alan first heard the number of retiring servicemen and women who left the state of Kansas, he's like, yeah, that's got to stop. We need employees for our members here. And so we need to start building relationships with these institutions and different branches of the military to keep those individuals here in our great state of Kansas. So I know you guys have been making it a big focus. What can we do to help create a positive climate for veterans to stay? There's plenty of pieces of legislation out there that have passed or continue to be introduced to focus on making it a better climate for those individuals. But really looking at our mission statement for this group, we just want to be a voice of support. But we don't have, and you know, I was taught early on by very good mentors to acknowledge your weaknesses and build on them. And I would say one of our weaknesses from the chamber's perspective is a lack of strong relationships with the leadership from our institutions across the state. So one of our goals is to strengthen those. We have quite a few of the top officials coming to our luncheon on Friday, which I'm just ecstatic about and look forward to meeting them. But we're not asking anything of them other than just to say, tell us what you need because we want to help, which You know, it's always a good position to be in when you can do that versus going to somebody and asking for something. So that's going to be our biggest outcome. But building those relationships will result in, I think, a better outcome for our membership and the Kansas business community to have access to a great workforce who can learn about the job opportunities in our state. So so our this council through our first couple meetings, we kind of put together a mission statement and they tweaked it, made it what it is today, and then we laid out our objectives of the council. Which are to protect and grow Kansas military institutions and investments, stronger relationships between the business community and military institutions and leadership, which I mentioned, promoting employment opportunities for Kansas businesses with retiring servicemen and women. Heroes Make America, we I said our umbrella of the Kansas Chamber earlier. We serve as the Kansas Retail Council, so we're an affiliation of the National Retail Federation, but we are also the state affiliate for the National Association of Manufacturers. And the National Association of Manufacturers has a great program called Heroes Make America that they, from the manufacturing sector nationwide, really put a big emphasis and have put a big emphasis over the last 10 years or so of building those relationships and letting our retiring military personnel know of the great opportunities that exist in the manufacturing sector for employment. So, the fourth one, promoting the economic impact of military institutions. We have a report that we received on the economic impact from Fort Riley. It's interesting. I put that. This is the only statistic I wanted to put in our document. That economic impact of 1.8 billion, that is the direct economic impact, which I thought was a huge number. If they use, there's a footnote in one of their slides that says if they use the Congressional Budget Office recognized accounting measure, which would basically be a 2.2 multiplier, then that number grows. But like, we don't want to use the 2.2. We just want to show the direct economic impact, which, 1.8 billion, that's construction, that's healthcare, payroll. So it's pretty significant for the state of Kansas, but especially the Manhattan, Fort Riley, Junction City area. And then the fifth one, support defense and military research and development at Kansas research institutions. NIAR, for example, I think that's probably, I know Alan will say, Alan Cobb, our president and CEO, he'll say, he's been surprised to learn, whether it's going to the Paris or London Air Show or just meeting new potential members across the state. He's been surprised at the number of defense contractors that we have, suppliers that we have within the state of Kansas. And we want to support those companies and figure out, again, what we can do to help them grow and be successful. But really, I'll close and summarize by saying that our goal is just to try to tie the business community together with the military community and build stronger relationships. That's really, I think, the biggest objective for the council from the chamber's perspective, and just knowing that we're going to be there as a resource for them. So that's kind of our short update. But again, if you're free on Friday at 11 o'clock, we'll be at Topeka Country Club. I think we have a pretty good registration list so far. So we hope you all can join us and be there for a couple hours on a cold Friday. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Any questions? Yes, Representative Dodson.
Thanks, Eric. Great program. One of the weaknesses has always been communications. Most of the bases down in Wichita or at Manhattan or up in Leavenworth have these programs that are, although we're in different services, are kind of the same, and that these programs begin for transitioning soldiers at least 6 months ahead of time. And a lot of times it is difficult to work with the transition officials to make sure that they have knowledge of all the various programs. So to the extent that the chamber can lend a little help to the communication of the available jobs that might be out there. We do a fair job at job fairs, but not good enough. So that would be my one recommendation to your program. And I think the link to all these local chambers is terrific. I mean, that has to be a part of it. But if you can lend some support to the communication side, that'd be good too. Thanks.
Thank you. That's good feedback. And again, I'm humble enough to acknowledge I don't know what I don't know. And if that's an area that you feel we can improve, then we'll make sure we put that as a priority, and I'll relay that to the council for feedback. I will say something. Maybe it might have been like a week or two after our very first council meeting, we accomplished our first objective, which was an interesting conversation. Again, as we, word gets out, we're putting this council together, and we got in contact with a representative from McConnell, and she said, "Hey, I see you guys are working on childcare. We have a real problem down in McConnell, and we're hung up with KDHE. We don't know what the right approach is and how to handle childcare, because the on-site or the licensed facilities through the base in Wichita, they do inspections and licensing of their authorized childcare facilities. But some of those facilities couldn't open because they were having a long delay from KDHE. And they're like, it doesn't make sense for us to have two licenses and go through this process twice, and we can't get these places open because KDHE is not quick to respond. She's like, I've been trying to find a solution for 2 years. I'm getting ready to retire. Can you help? And it's like, well, absolutely. So I got Melissa was her name. I got her in touch with Melissa Rooker, and Melissa Rooker with the Children's Cabinet at KDHE said, this makes zero sense. If there's already licensing and inspection requirements from the Department of Defense, there's no reason to duplicate it. And KDHE immediately took care of their issue, and they were very appreciative. But again, as you guys have last year, we're debating childcare policy, and that's still potentially out there. We were very appreciative of KDHE for being so responsive and taking care of their issue right away. So kudos to them for being such a providing such a fast turnaround on that one. So, but yeah, we'll definitely, I'll relay that to the council and make sure that we can try to find a way to provide a resource for job opportunities. I don't know if it's our own job board that can be posted. I don't know. We'll brainstorm on ways that we can help there.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next on the agenda will be Representative Dodson. Give us an update of summer vet meeting. And a lot was happening. Thank you for doing this.
you'll take this one and just kind of put it aside and just read it later. I'm not going to go over that. It's just kind of an overview of things. I'll start off with with my email. I've also got some notes that we've corresponded with Carly, and I'll cover that as we go through here. So the reason we want to talk about this a little bit is we've made an effort over time to get our veterans together and their organizations together and try to determine the priority issues that they might have. So late this fall, we had another meeting, and we wanted to let everybody know, here's what we've done over the past couple of years. Here's what we put forward last session, and some of these didn't pass or didn't get past the Senate because of timing or some other issue. So those are things we might want to take up again. And then here's some bills that we had talked about that we might want to introduce during this session. So if we start off there on part one, which is a legislative priority listing, 2036, as you know, Representative Proctor is working that right now. He made some amendments to it to take out some of the things that maybe cause some of the counties a little bit of heartburn. So I'd ask you to, if you haven't done it already, take a look at Pat's bill. He's running hard on that one. He met, I know, with Riley County, Gary County, and Leavenworth. The issue for that was primarily that people are worried about the overall income reduction from tax if this excuses veterans. But you know, the whole point we're trying to make here, just like Eric said in his presentation, we're trying to get the vets to have a reason to stay here or to come back. And the amount of revenue that we take from them is far exceeds the amount that we'd give them in this kind of a break. So anyway, when that comes up or before it comes up, when you see Pat's bill, please take a hard look at it and we have a good discussion even before caucus. We got the most of everything cleaned up. I think General Turner, I think that's right. During the last session, we got everything we need to do. We got the deed done for the Veterans Center here in Topeka. That's obviously an ongoing issue, so we'll just kind of wait and see when we get funded from the federal level so we can continue to move forward on the construction. So you see number 3 there, Senator Peck introduced that bill. So 100% disability for purchase up $25,000. So that was SB 58, and that didn't reach the Senate floor for action. So on some of these, and I'll mention a couple later on, what I'll probably do is go talk to the Senate bill sponsors just to see where they are for this next session. And then what I may do is come back and ask for a little bit of help, if senators who might give these things a push, if they're not number one on their hit parade, because they're all important. And if they're just kind of languishing in the other chamber, then you might want to give them a push. Number 4 was currently serving military pay exempt from income tax. And you'll see that that was, again, Representative Proctor's HB 2011. And he'll continue to work that. We're one of only 7 states there who has to put that on our IS form. We had another issue. This one we all know about, and that is the caregivers to disabled individuals or particularly disabled veterans. They work awfully hard and they're sometimes neglected. This is one of those things that we may develop in the future, a bill for that. We've got a lot on our plate now, as you just heard in the caucus about the tax bill. So we're going to have to, I think, let that settle a little bit before we know how much money we can kind of take away at the margins. education benefit, that was SB 123. This allows family members of military to get in-state tuition, and that was done in the Senate, 123, and signed by the governor. Again, on General Turner's side, HB 2378 was a quick claim for the property in Topeka. So we got that done. HB 2111. This, I think, is still in the governor's tax plan, but I know that the one that'll come to the floor today, it is not in there, the part about diapers and so on. So we'll just have to take that as we go along. So part 3, the Adjutant General's Department agency bills. We got, as you remember, we had 5 of these come in. I think it was 5, and we took several of them to the floor. And the colonel came to see me yesterday, and we've got some of those that are still sitting. There you are. Sorry, Keith. So we've got some of them still sitting in the Senate, and those are the ones that, remember the UCMJ issue where we wanted to align that and make sure it was the same as the active military Uniform Code of Military Justice. That didn't get out of the Senate simply because of time last year. So I think that's fine. That's one of those we'll need to talk to our counterparts about. That also included one for a staff judge advocate for the National Guard, and we'll need to work that one too as we go along. But that's ready to go. I mean, it's already over at the Senate. We did the SB 285, which was remember when we had the discussion about the governor confirming general officers. This had to do with the relationship with the 35th Division, which is made up, used to be all in Kansas, and now it's in Missouri and 2 other states. But since it's a National Guard of Kansas, we wanted to make sure that the governor had the authority to select those and approve those general officers for positions. We went through this Homeland Security. Do you remember that discussion? We had our, keep forgetting the name of we have a intel center in the National Guard. And what we wanted to do is build a security center underneath the adjutant or the attorney general. That one got a lot of feedback because of the construct and the implication that there was too much military involvement in that for the state of Kansas. So I talked to Representative Proctor about this, and I think what we're going to do is make sure that the Attorney General outlines his own idea about the construct of this organization. And once that's done, then we should be able to proceed. But that'll be probably built around the Attorney General. We've got a couple of things on we look at item 6 there, SB 292, which is death and disability benefits. And we've got, I didn't include that in the packet, but I'll send it around later. I asked Betty to send it out. It just kind of shows the amount that we might want to put out for death and disability benefits. The other one that we might be able to help with that's kind of attendant to that is that if you remember the testimony last session, it takes a month of drill to pay for a Medicaid premium, basically TRICARE and Medicare. And for young people trying to use that extra money as service and also take care of their family, that's a lot of money for them. So it only seems fair that we help them along there, and we'll see if we can get a bill together for that. So talked about the Kansas Code of Military Justice. We had a bill come across 2249, which would place restrictions on the mobilization of Kansas National Guard for deployments. No action was taken on that bill. We wanted to have the relationship between the federal government and the state government of Kansas remain intact for deployments under federal law. So part 4 there is a proposed new legislation. And what I'd do is, if you are interested in carrying any one of these 5, there's actually more than that. There's 8 there. But if you're interested in carrying any one of those, let me know right away, because I'm going to have to probably tomorrow ask people to carry one just because we have to get on with this business. And most of these are already either fully developed and they're fully developed and need some edits, or some of them need to be kind of built again. And we've got to give our friend the reviser some time to do this, because some of what we're asking, you remember, part of our problem is definitions and other things are not uniform across Kansas law, and they're certainly not uniform with the Department of Defense or the Veterans Administration. So she's going to have to go through and cull that and make sure that all those things are included, so that when somebody looks at, for example, what is the definition of veteran, it's all the same. We have these problems, we just had a discussion this morning about how much disability. What is a disabled veteran? Is it 30% or what is it? So these are the kinds of things we'll work on. So the one on inclusion of the Space Force, that's basically done. We'll just have some edits that go into that. Standard definition of disabilities. We have an easy one, which was sent forward by the organization of the Big Red One, was the 1st Infantry Division at Fort Riley, for a license plate. You're saying to yourself, another license plate bill? But yes. The other one, which is very important, is who is eligible for benefits. And it has to do with the 5th one, which is the term veteran. So when you look at, when we're trying to define benefits, and what normally happens, you either get a finding by the Department of Defense, or you get a finding by the Veterans Administration that says, Mr. Jones has faithfully served and he is disabled. He's got a 40% disability because of his right knee. That shouldn't need further evaluation. In other words, that should be what we go by. Otherwise, why do we do it? The Veterans Administration recognizes it, so we should too. We've got a bill, and somebody in here, I think, has got it, on vehicle tax relief. 2 vehicles per vet. I've seen it, but I thought it was in the committee. Anyway, I'll get you the name of who brought that bill, because it's on my desk. I just didn't write the name down. And then Representative Butler, you've got the one on Toll Road. And then Representative Proctor has 2036, so he'll probably need some help on that. So that's the one I'd ask you to join in on. Were you going to do the one on the first ID license plate for your District 2, Nate? Or?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that means we need somebody for 1, 2, 4, and 5, and I'll get the name for part 5, number 1. And the second thing that I handed out, excuse me, let me do one more thing here. If you look at the next page, when we had the meeting, we had a whiteboard up, and we asked everybody from all of those groups to come down front and write what they thought was most important on the board. So after that, you put the stickies on there, and then you count them up. So the number in the left-hand column is how many people thought that was their priority. So what you see there is disabled veterans tax relief, and you see the comment in the right-hand column, which was 2036 attempted in last year. We'll run again in 24. Wave KTEG, that's 2024. We'll do that through the Department of Revenue. And that's the one that Representative Butler has already. Then we've got the vehicle property tax. Again, that's part 5, number 1. That was for exemption of 2 cars, 2 vehicles. And I'll get the name on that. But then you see there's kind of a descending order of priority. And so by the time you get halfway through the page, only 4 people came up and supported it. So most of the things we really had covered already. And, you know, when we had this meeting, we might have done a better job by laying out what we had already done before they came up and put down their priorities, because some of them were already covered. But nonetheless, it's important to gather the information so we have it. And you see the second page is all ones or nobody voted for. They're just written down. So if you'll take a look at and Lieutenant Colonel Marshall sent me this thing. So I'll just reiterate that we had SB 292, which had the disability, death and disability benefits. So I'll need to go over to the Senate on that. And then the same thing for 2393, which was the update to the CMJ. So those are at least 2 that will be working. And then when that other packet I handed out is kind of a summary, that's the one that looks like this. So if you look through there, I kind of titled the top of that and I sent that over to the reviser. And that's where some of the, maybe the terminology and so on has to be blended into the bill that she already put together. And then some of that terminology will be used to kind of form a new bill in 2 cases. So that's again, the veteran definition and the benefits, the benefit eligibility. So we've got a lot of things going on, but, you know, we have really gotten a lot of traction because, you know, last year we're kind of looking for what do people need? And at least at that fall session, we got an idea of what we have done, what we did last session and then the kinds of things we might want to take on. So that's that. And the reviser is graciously accepted all of this stuff. And so when we get everybody assigned to one of these 8, and we've already got 3 of them covered. So when you get that assignment, what I'd ask you to do, Mike, who's a representative of MOAA, as you all know him, he will help in any way he can, and I'm sure that's true for General Turner's office, to make, particularly those we haven't crafted yet, to help construct and coordinate with the reviser. And then we'll pull them up here as an RS and read them in, and then we'll go to work on them, Mr. Chair. So I think that's about all I wanted to cover. I apologize for the length of that, but I wanted everybody to kind of have the material that I had. We've got a lot of this online, but this might just, what I do is just put that in a packet, you know, and then I've got it to refer to as we go along. So particularly appreciate the reviser who started working on this probably back in September or so when we first put some of these together. And that's the value of kind of working through some of this, through these either joint committees or these ad hoc meetings during the summer and the fall. So certainly take on any questions you might have at this time.
Representative Butler, are you going to introduce it here or transportation?
Mr. Chairman, I plan to introduce it here. I just received the draft yesterday, so I'll be reaching out to a few people to kind of take a look at it, massage it a little bit before we get back to the revisor and see where we go.
Let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please volunteer for some of these, particularly 1, 2, and 5. We'd like to get that on the agenda as soon as we can. Inclusion of the Space Force, which should be good. Standard definition of disabilities, and also the term of veterans. I would like to get those 3 done quickly. So they are not that difficult. They should be easily done. Of course, easily sometimes is not easy here. So anyway, please get with Representative Dodson, and he will get that assigned, and we need to meet with our revisors and make sure everybody is on the same page. Is there anything else brought before the committee? Anything else? Well, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor, say aye. Adjourn.